Hello again, welcome back to another video. So this video is just my tier list of all the Fall Guys maps currently in the game. So yeah, this is just purely my opinion coming from a guy. I don't know if I'm average or below average, but for reference I have 20 wins when I get to level 40, so you know. So basically I know all the little tips and tricks about the maps, but at the same time I still don't really win reliably. So that's basically it. So I'm not totally oblivious about the game, the maps. I know what I'm doing, but at the same time I don't always win even though I know what to do, because my skill level is not spectacular, so to speak. So yeah, so let's just begin. Again, this is just only gonna be my opinion and my so let's just begin. So first one, we got Block Party. So this is a map that the number of players actually heavily affects how well you can do, because if you get caught in a jump, when you bump into someone, you just fall over, and the blocks coming later can easily push you off and eliminate you. So it's gonna be heavily affected by other players, but overall I don't think this is a bad map. So I think I'm gonna put it like in the middle or something, B rank or C rank, I guess B. To be honest, I think I'm not even sure. Maybe there's some skills I haven't yet know about, but there's not much you can do. You trip over and then the wall just push you off. There's not much you can do if you do trip over. So, but if you do not trip, this map is so easy. But the danger is always coming from the bumping into other players. So I'm gonna put it in around the middle. So next up we got Gate Crash. The thing is that Gate Crash can only appear in early stages, unlike for example Block Party. So it's always gonna be early, like round 1 or round 2. I don't think I have seen it at round 3 or later. What it means is that you always have like 30 to 40 slots to win. So if you know what you're doing, you basically never lose. You can fail the final jump like multiple times, like when I'm practicing the jumping speed boost thing. I failed like 3 times at the final jump and I still qualify. So basically if I'm playing seriously, you just never lose after you know what's going on in this map. So I don't think this is too exciting because it only appears early on again. If it appears later, then sure, it can get exciting, but this is an early map, so I cannot rank it too high. So it will also be kinda in the middle. I may even move them to C rank for now, at least. Doordash, same as Gate Crash. The thing is that you can actually see which door is real and which door is fake for the final 3 rows of doors. So there is some skills involved. But at the same time, again, this is early map. But at the same time, if you are actually getting stuck, like when you try to jump into a door and then you get bumped off of the door, bumped to the side, and then 30 people just try to go through the same choke point, then you can never get into that door. So it can actually lead to your elimination. So there's always a chance that you get eliminated. But the thing is that to ensure your qualification in this map is to not play the map. You let other people to dash through the doors. You stay like in the first 30% of the pack, but never the first few bins. Then you never have the chance of getting eliminated. because you never jump into a door. You can always have time to adjust your angle and jump into the real door because the people in front of you is testing the doors for you. So the best way to play this map is to not play this map. So this actually makes me, again, it's gonna be not so exciting, you know? Because again, this is early, it only appears early, and you know, and then the best way to play is to not play the map. So Scramble, I mean, a lot of people don't like team games. Most people think that they don't have control over the outcome of team games, so they hate team games. But I think team games is a really good, I wouldn't say it's really good, but it's a good way, or at least good enough way, to make sure the game is chaotic. So no matter how good you are, there's always a chance you get early elimination. No matter how bad you are, there's always a chance you can get through round 3, round 4. Well, unless you can literally cannot go through the first round, then obviously, but as long as you are able to finish the early rounds, there's always a chance for you to get to round 3 and 4. I think this is a good way to keep people playing, and it keeps the game chaotic. So I do not think team game is such a bad thing in this game, because this game is not only about skill, this game is all about chaos. That's why the beans are bumping into each other, the physics is janky, you can randomly get launched forward and stuff. So I personally do not think team games are that bad. So in general, I don't hate team games that much. So this is Scramble is the first team games we need to rank, and I think it's better than the previous maps we just ranked, because again, it actually gets exciting and skill actually start to matter in Scramble, because you can actually go into the enemy basket and keep throwing the eggs out. You don't even need to jump on top of the platform. You can do it at the bottom level of the basket. You can just throw the eggs out if you do it right. So there is a certain kind of skill involved. So yeah, skill actually matters. It won't bring you from like no eggs to 20 eggs and win, but it is enough most of the time to ensure you're winning. Like if two teams is very even and I just jump into the basket and keep throwing eggs out, it's actually pretty easy to win when two teams are even. But the thing is that if you do get targeted by two teams, the first problem of this map is if you do get targeted heavily by two teams, there's not much thing you can do. But at the same time, again, not a lot of people at this point know about how to throw eggs out of the basket correctly. A lot of them still trying to grab the egg and then send the egg all the way back to their own basket, which is time consuming and you only get 1 point for your team. Whereas if I throw the eggs out, I can throw 1 point away from the enemy team like every few seconds. But at the same time, what this means is it actually gets very repetitive. Even if you are trying to defend, you just stand in the upper platform and block the people trying to bring the eggs out of your basket. If you are going on offense, you jump into the enemy basket and keep throwing eggs out. So it gets really repetitive for a whole second half of the map. So this prevents it from going high tier, in my opinion. So Scramble, I guess, is slightly better than the other three we just do. Fumble, another team game, and I am actually gonna put it above Scramble. I think Fumble is one of the better team games because skills, again, the randomness is lower and the skill required is higher, and yeah, that's it. And also that's 2 teams, and it usually happens later on, but I think it can happen. I think I have played like 20 people Fumble, I think I have. It's rare, but it can happen. That's like 10 people on a team or something. That is chaotic, but still fun. But in general, Fumble is usually 1 map before the final. So usually it's gonna be 10 to 12 people. 10 to 14 people maybe. So your skill actually matters, and if you choose to be goalie or play mid instead of just blindly chasing the ball, it actually affects the game a lot. So you have a lot more control over the outcome of this game. So I think Fumble is better than Scramble. Four Mountain again, as the first final we review, I'm gonna put it at A tier. Again, skill does play a part in here. I see a lot of people, like a huge amount of people, complain about the starting position of Four Mountain, but at the end of the day, like for the hundreds of games I play, the starting position honestly doesn't matter as much as people made it out to be, because you are almost never gonna be able to make it to the crown flawlessly. You will have to adjust yourself to fit the hammer timing. You need to adjust yourself to dodge the ball. You will have to run a longer route just to not get hit by the spinners and stuff. So you are almost never going to do a perfect run to the crown, let alone having multiple people having a perfect run all the way to the crown. So the starting position that actually makes you lose, it's actually extremely rare. People love to say about, oh, starting position make me lose and stuff, but at the end of the day, you get hit by a ball. You lose like 3 seconds. You're not going to win, even if you are at the front. If you get hit by a ball and the other guy doesn't get hit by a ball, you are gonna lose no matter which starting position you are. If you start at the back and you don't get hit by a ball while the others get hit by the ball, you are still gonna make it to the crown before them. So the starting position is not mattered as much as people make it out to be. Again, you never have multiple people have a perfect run to the top. Not to mention, again, I have played like, I don't know, 40 times Four Mountain or something like that. That's like 1 time I actually have a perfect run, that I don't need to dodge the ball and don't need to dodge the spinners and never get hit by anything. 1 time. As long as you need to dodge a ball, dodge a spinner, get hit by anything, somebody grab you, you trip over at the beginning, when you run to the top, you need to wait for the crown. Unless you're way behind, obviously. If you are doing decently, but if you need to do some longer paths to dodge the ball or spinners and stuff, when you reach the crown, you will have to wait for the crown. So again, starting position doesn't matter because you are waiting for the crown together with other people's. So the jump timing is what decides the win, not the starting position. So the skills is actually there. Obviously you can get lucky wins with Four Mountain, but skills are certainly there for Four Mountain. So yeah, so I'm gonna put it at A rank. Slime Crime is the best non-finals. it is difficult enough to eliminate more people than other race, because most race I think it only eliminate around 30% of the people, but slime crime on its own is difficult enough to eliminate more than half people. I don't think I have a single slime crime game where more than half people survive. So yeah, a lot of the times after slime crime there's not enough people to do another round, so after slime crime is the final a lot of the time. This results in a lot of 3-round games because of that. Slime crime takes skill, and as people are getting better and better, the stampede happens. That's the time that stampede happens is going to be later and later into the route. And at the beginning, I remember everybody is starting on the shortcut thing where you bounce onto the next platform with the pushers. But nowadays, the stampede can actually happen one level above in the cannonball part. A lot of the time most people can get to the cannonball part, so the second set of the pushers is actually where people start to bump into each other instead of the first set of pushers. So as people get better, maybe like after like half a year, maybe this map is gonna be too easy because everybody can go through it, but currently this map is difficult enough, so it is very exciting because 1-4 you lose, and if you run too slow the slime catches up, you lose. So you're in constant pressure, and this is one of the map where you can easily screw over others by grabbing them at the pusher, grabbing them in the slime, grabbing them when they try to jump over the pushers. So yeah, this map is just overall exciting, and it has everything that makes this game good. It is still chaotic, it takes skill, it has some kind of randomness coming from the players, not the... I guess, yeah, most of the randomness come from the players. But yeah, and even after all this playtime, I still sometimes fail this. Actually, I died like 40% of the time still, because either somebody grabbed me at a bad positioning or I just screw up. But yeah, it's always exciting when I get slime crime. Even though I lose, I may get frustrated, but still, it is still an exciting match. Fruit Chute. I'm gonna put it above the Gate Crash Doordash, because again, skill does matter a little bit, but it won't be as good as, for example, 4-balling 4-ball 4-mountain, because the randomness is a lot higher than those games. So, like a watermelon, like rolling through the right hand side, and everybody in the right hand side just falls off the conveyor belt. That's not much you can do when the banana or watermelon just sweep through the entire side. But for the apples and stuff, you always have the chance to dodge it or time to react to it. But if they land a direct hit on you, then you're screwed anyway, because you cannot point your camera too high up, so you cannot actually see the trajectory the further you go. When you are in the middle of the route in the race, you cannot really see the fruits that's firing above your screen. But there's always a risk and reward thing about this map, that a lot of the fruit just bounce off of the ground. So you can always gamble that maybe the fruit is gonna fly over my head, or maybe it's gonna land directly on you and set you back. So It's more exciting than the early game, early rounds. I think this only happens in round 3 or something. I don't think it can happen too early with Fruit Chute. So it gets more exciting with this map, but a lot of the time if you take a gamble or if you are actually very unlucky, you can actually get screwed over pretty bad. So this prevents it from going really high up. Hit Parade, same as, it's not a bad route, but again it can only happen early, so a lot of the excitement is not there, because if you play seriously you just never, and you know what you're doing, you just never get eliminated with this. The only time I really get eliminated when is because I'm trying something new or trying something stupid. Like, I can get hit by the hammers like 2 times and I still qualify. So again, it's not exciting simply because it's early round, you have too many slots of qualification, so you're not at the constant pressure of losing like the maps that is higher up in the list. So I'm gonna put it as C. Hexagon is just an auto S. I think most people agree that Hexagon is the most skill-based map in the game currently. Because Slime Climb, even if you do not have good skill, if you play it slow and safe, you can still slowly but surely finish Slime Climb. But Hexagon, being a final and being the floor is constantly disappearing, it's forcing you to keep going. You don't have time to chill. So the constant pressure and very skill-based factor is what makes Hexagon, I would even say, the best map currently, even though I kinda suck at it. I only win like 1-2 games every like 10-15 times I get Hexagon. Like I'm really bad at Hexagon, but it is still very exciting because other than cheaters, obviously, every time I lose, I know the others are just playing better, like 90% of the time. Like those 10% of the time you actually get unlucky, you get ganked on, someone randomly grabs you, and then both of you fall. Like maybe they're trying to make their friend win or something, but sometimes somebody randomly grabs you so you both fall, sometimes somebody land on top of you, or sometimes 2 players decide to cut you off at the same time. That can happen. Or the glitch where you fall through the gap between the hexagons. It can get frustrating, but mass majority of the time when you lose is because, yeah, the other player is just better than you. So even though I'm kind of bad at Hexagon, I still think this is the best map currently. It's all about player skill. So yeah, best map. Hoarders. I make this tier just for Hoarders. Yeah, being a team game has its disadvantage, even though I don't really hate on team games, but being team game is worse than the other maps. I just don't hate it. But team game do have the factor that sometimes you just feel like there's nothing you could have done. Sometimes you do a lot, but your team still lose. So team game does have its disadvantage. I just don't mind them in the game. But Hoarders is just, in my opinion, so bad. It's just the worst map in the game. It's awkward that we have the best and the worst maps back to back, huh? Because it's so random. Because again, this is an early. This is like always going to be happening in round 2 or something to have enough people to roll Hoarders. I don't think you can roll Hoarders when you have like less than 30 people, I don't think. So it is gonna happen in round 2 or 3, where there's too many people, and unlike floorball, the volleyballs are way bigger than footballs. So you cannot see how many people is behind the volleyball and how close they are. So every time you try to bump it, the timing is always wrong, because there's always some random people pushing the ball in all directions. So it's just so random. You spend more time chasing the ball instead of actually playing with the ball. And you can have 5 balls in your possession, and then the final 3 seconds you just lose all your balls, because the volleyballs is just so random, and there's too many people, and there's 3 teams. So it's just, you don't feel like you're playing the game. Even in chaotic maps like Scramble, you still feel like you're playing the game. You're grabbing eggs, you're stopping people from grabbing eggs, you're throwing around the eggs, you're still interacting. But Hoarders, you're just chasing the ball, because when you think you can headbutt the ball, some random people just push the ball the other way. Some random people just bump the ball like 3 times your height. There's nothing you can do. The ball just go over you, and there's nothing you can do. So you spend more time chasing the ball than actually playing the game. And the fact that it is too many people, too random, it's just not interactive, in my opinion. You just don't play the game, even if you want to. You're just running around, and you just fall over randomly. You get the ball just fly all over the place. You have no control over it. Like, yeah. So I just hate this map so much. It's so dumb that because it's, again, you think you're pushing the ball, but there's actually 5 people behind the ball, and suddenly the ball is randomly flying to a single direction. You just have no control over it, and yeah, I just don't like it. Hoopsie Daisies, I think this is my personal favorite. Personal favorite for team games. I rank it higher than floorball, to be honest. Some people say the rings spawn randomly, but the fact is that you don't camp in a random area. You either, if you are skilled enough, you camp the spinning plate, so you can reach most of the rings spawn around you the fastest. But again, you're moving at really high speed, so it gets really difficult. But if you camp the spinning plate, you can actually reach a lot of rings faster than anybody else. So there's a lot of skill that can be involved. If you're less skilled, like me, what I like to do is just camp the mountain on each side. The mountain gives you access to like 10 or so ring spawning position. And if you are perfect with your jump and dive, it actually covers like 25% or even maybe 30% of the arena, that allow you quick access to any ring that spawn in that area. And because you're already on top of the hill, any rings that spawn on the hill, you're gonna get it first. And most people at this point still don't know how to get the rings that is high up in the air. You need to jump off the mountain and dive at the right time, and most people can't do it because they camp in the ground. That's why most people don't know how to get those rings. There's multiple games where you can just run up the hill, get the ring, run up the hill, get another ring, run up the hill, get a third ring. And nobody can get the rings from you because they don't know how to do it. So you can easily score 10 to 15 points, depending on if you get a gold ring. But 10 ring is easy to get if you cam the hill. So before people caught up, it's pretty easy. Unless you literally have ring dead teammates that you're losing like 20 points, then yeah. But I can always get more than 10 points in this map, and I find it fun. Because yeah, this is my personal favorite team game, but at the same time this is a team game, so yeah. Jinxed. Jinxed is a team game, and the thing I don't like about Jinxed is, first, it's not that easy to spot the one that is not Jinxed. Like when there's like 15 people on each team running around, so there's 30 people running around, it's not easy to find the one guy that is not Jinxed. So most of the games, the game is just finished, win or lose, before you even spot the guy that is not even Jinxed. Obviously you want to try, maybe you want to try to avoid getting Jinxed early on, but at the same time, when for the final like 30 seconds, when both teams have only 1 or 2 people that is not Jinxed, basically you run around doing nothing because you can't even see who is not Jinxed. That's too many people, and it's too difficult to spot the people that are not Jinxed. So a lot of the time, again, it's not engaging because you're just running around like hoarders. You're just running around doing nothing. I'm actually gonna put it at D rank, and it suffers the same downside of tail games, where you can get Wi-Fi grab, or when you grab someone and it doesn't count. So you have the downside of the team games, you have the downside of tail games, and you don't get any of the exciting factors from the other team games. So I'm gonna put Jinx at D. Jump Club. Early on, when the game is just released, this is a boring map because it's too easy. But nowadays people are actually less brain dead, I guess. So it actually lasts long enough for the spin to be actually dangerous. Because before that, for some reason, the game always ends before the green rod even speed up. But nowadays, people are better at the game, so they know what they're doing. So it actually gets exciting because that green beam is actually moving way faster, and you need to actually think about if you're gonna get hit, because the big pillar and the small pillar hit you at the same time. So yeah, it does get more exciting when people are better at this. So I'm gonna put it at B. It's not bad, but it's not that great. So yeah, I think Jump Club is gonna be at B. Okay, Jump Showdown. I'm not sure because they disabled this for a really long time after they released, because you can actually grab the edge and hang forever before. So they disabled it for the longest time and then they added it back in, but I'm not sure if other changes is made to this map. The problem of this map before was that when the platform falls and there's like 3 tiles on each side, there is a small chance that one side is gonna have all 3 of the platform falls. So it can actually make it luck based if the platform fall in a very specific position where both sides has 2 platforms left. There is a chance, a very small chance, that both of the platform on your side is gonna fall and you have no chance to jump to the other side. So it can get luck based, but I'm not sure if they fixed this from the patch or not, or if they just fix the expo where you can hang forever at the edge. But overall, it is a very skill based game because you need to quickly identify if you want to go under the beam and jump over, or wait till the fast beam to go through the slow beam before you jump. You need to make quick decisions and stuff, and when the lower beam becomes fast, it actually gets exciting because you have very little area to work with, and then you need to really quickly decide which side you want to be on with the slow beam. So it is skill based most of the time. In extremely rare cases, it can be luck based, but most of the time it's skill based. So Jump Showdown, I think, is a pretty good final. Perfect match is, let's just say, boring. It's not like I'll never get eliminated by this, because sometimes that's at the final round there's like too many fruits. But most of the time, the majority of the time, 90% people is gonna qualify. So yeah, it's just a boring map. Even if you get eliminated or not, it's just a boring map. You remember the tile and then you run to that tile. You can try to trick people, but even if it works, it doesn't get that exciting. And most of the time it doesn't work, and most of the time it doesn't even eliminate that many people. Like, it eliminates maybe like 10% of the people most of the time. Like once in a full moon, you may have a bunch of people following the first few guys and everybody just fall because the first guy made the mistake. But it's rare, and even if that happens, like, it's not exciting. It's not that exciting. So overall, just a boring map. Rock and roll. Rock and roll is kind of average, but I'm actually gonna put it above B, because you do have the strategy of if you want to push the ball, if you want to stop the other's ball, or if you want to grab people who try to stop your ball. So that's free roll, and you need to think about what you want to do. But most of the time, if everybody just stay on the ball and keep pushing, nobody can stop you. So basically, if you get the balls down to the bottom first, you just keep pushing, you win. They literally can't stop you, because the ball is just gonna roll over them. They cannot actually stop the ball if everybody is pushing the ball. Also, I think not a lot of people knows about this. If you are pushing the ball up the hill, up the obstacle, or if you're pushing the ball when someone is trying to stop you, you just jump. You just keep spamming jump. So you're gonna keep headbutting the ball. So the ball just roll over them very quickly. So if enough people do that, like, literally they cannot stop you. They can spend half of their team trying to stop your ball, but the ball is just gonna roll over them. So, but then again, there is some kind of decision making involved. So I think Rock and Roll is more exciting than the C rank, C tier maps. Rollout, another boring map. Again, people are getting better, but this is still a boring map because there's not much going on here. Like, every time I get eliminated, it's because somebody grabbed me, actively trying to kill me. When I try to kill people and we fall together, or when I try to kill people and then someone else like, hey, this guy's an asshole, I'm gonna grab him. Or when I'm literally just find it too boring and not paying enough attention, and then I actually die to this map. But overall, this map is just boring. Again, people are getting better, which makes it even worse. because it takes even longer before the game ends. And this map, nothing changes in this map. And again, there's always a chance where you bump into people or something, but if you don't jump, most of the time, even if you bump into each other, it doesn't cause you to fall. It may make you go on to a less optimal platform, but if you're paying attention, then you really don't. Yeah, it's just a boring map. I always just get phased out when I play this map. It's just boring, just like Perfect Match. It's like, it's just a boring map, I think. I think they need to make this map more dangerous. Like when you hit those, I don't know, dildo-like things, it actually bounces you off. They need to make this map actually dangerous. So yeah. But for now, Rollout is just a boring map. DC Heights, again, basically the same as Gate Crash, Doordash, Hit Parade, DC Heights are all about, they only appears early game. I don't think I've ever seen these after round 3. They can only be round 1 or round 2, which again share the same problem. There's too many slots of qualification. You never feel the pressure after you know about the map. You never feel about the pressure of the elimination. If you're playing seriously, you're always gonna qualify. So yeah, even if I keep trying silly things, I still rarely get eliminated here. That just take away. Again, it's not like these 4 maps is just, they're not bad maps, they're nice race maps. But taking first place doesn't really mean anything. And the first 2 rounds, as long as you qualify, you don't care. Like, sure, you get more kudos, but who cares about kudos? It's not like you actually... Unless you literally want to buy every single item in the shop, you're never gonna run out of kudos, because not every item you want to buy. If you're only buying items you like, you're never gonna run out of kudos. So kudos doesn't matter. When kudos doesn't matter, there's no incentive to actually race in these maps. That's why they're C tiers. While being a decent map on their own, that's just not exciting and no pressure. So there's no incentive to play good. So yeah, it's just, yeah. Royal Fumble is gonna be C tier. Skill does play a part in this, but being a tail grab game says it all. There's a lot of times where you grab someone and it doesn't count. There's a lot of times when people are not even close to you and they grab your tail because of latency. And the thing is that it doesn't follow the rules. Like, if the Wi-Fi grab happens because they are actually close to us when they try to grab us on their screen, then why, when on my screen I grab someone and I fail to get the tail, it doesn't follow the same rules? It's like it only benefits people with high ping. That's the problem. It only benefits people who have high ping, so they're gonna have all the advantage. They get to grab your tail as long as you are close enough in their screen, but I don't get to grab their tail even though they are close enough in my screen. So high ping is always gonna get the benefit in all tail games. So even though this is a skill-based map, it prevents the fact that this map being a tail game prevents it from going high rank for me. Seesaw, I'm gonna put it to B. A lot of people hate this map. but when you actually know how to play the map, it's not bad. Again, it is an early game map, but it is exciting because it's more exciting than the C tier early game maps, because when you see a lot of people keep falling and you know what to do and you're not falling, it just feels good, man. Basically, you want to dive right before you hit the ground. Then you can actually stand up on a very tilted seesaw. Most people don't know how to do it. They just jump onto the seesaw, slide off, jump onto the seesaw, slide off, and then blame the people that, oh, everybody just jump onto the seesaw and nobody balance it. But the thing is, you don't really need to balance the seesaw. As long as you're close enough to the center of the seesaw. I think the first there's like a few parts of this map. Like the first part of the map, from the beginning to the first checkpoint, those few seesaws, as long as you're standing, you never fall. You literally cannot fall if you're standing up, unless someone lands on you. So the first few seesaws before the first checkpoint, you actually cannot slide off if you're standing up. And even in the later seesaw, if you're close enough to the center and you dive right before you land, you can still stand up, even though it is really tilted. Unless someone lands on you or you land on someone, then obviously you're gonna fall. But if you land and dive, if you dive right before you land, you don't actually slide off from a tilted seesaw. So if you know what you're doing, at worst, you still get qualified. You may not get top 50%, but you still qualify. This makes me like this map a lot more than the other maps, because this map at least have the pressure of elimination. Because it takes more skill and more timing and more adjusting your course. Because a lot of the time you want to jump off and try to spawn at a different bridge. Like if the seesaw is tilted too much onto the other side, you may want to jump off and spawn at the other side. Yeah, it can get boring if you are leading a pack, because if you're leading the pack, there's no risk at all and you have no pressure. But it gets exciting when you're within the crowd. So you actually need to make quick decision of which platform to jump on, because 1 second later it may tilt more and you can no longer get onto the platform. Or you may want to suicide intentionally and then spawn in on the other side, or maybe you need to dive at a better spot, at a better angle, so you don't land on someone. So it does get exciting when that happens. And again, the pressure is higher. The elimination pressure is higher than the maps in the C tier. So Seesaw as an early game map is pretty decent. Tail tag. This is a tail game. D tier. The map is bad with tail tag. I just think the map is bad with tail tag. The camera just keep going apeshit, especially if you go to the lower part of the center, like right below the big hammer. The camera just go apeshit and you can't see anything, and when you go close to the edge of the arena, the camera go apeshit. And it's a tail game, so all the disadvantages of tail game is still there. And if you just jump over in the upper center, what I do with tail tag is I just get a tail and then jump outside of jump in a circle, right outside of the big hammer in the center. I just jump over from bridge to bridge, so you never become a target, because they don't want to jump and dive to slow themselves down to chase you. They always try to search for a easier target. So if you just keep jumping over the bridges between the gaps, right outside of the giant hammer, you just rarely becomes a target. But again, it gets repetitive, and this is a tail game, so I'm gonna put tail tag as D. Team tail tag is, yeah, it is boring, because it's a team game and it's a tail game, so you can hold on to your tail for the entire match and it doesn't matter, or you can do nothing the entire match and it still doesn't matter. So it's better than Hoarders in my opinion, but that's it. Team tail tag, that's it. Tiptoe, I like Tiptoe. I'm actually gonna put it at A rank. I'm actually gonna put Tiptoe at A rank. Again, it is exciting, and every time I roll this map, even before the match starts, my heart races, because you know it is gonna get scary, because the floor is slightly squishy. It's not as slimy as slimes, but you can slide a little bit when you get bumped or get grabbed. So it is very easy to get pushed off, so it's always exciting, and because it always happens right before the final, like round 4 or something, or when there's like 10 to 15 people, it usually happens. When Tiptoe happens, usually there's like 10 to 15 people around that number, so that's only like 6, 7, 8 slots for qualification, so it's always going to be exciting, because the pressure is on and you need to really look for the shaking ground and then figure out which path could be the real path. And figuring out which path is the real path, you still need to avoid getting bumped by the other players. That makes it really exciting for a semi-final. So yeah, I like Tiptoe. Even though it can get random and you can have some unlucky moments, it's exciting enough for me that I'm gonna put it at A tier. Finally, the Whirlygig. Again, it's basically the same as these C tier race maps. It can only happen early on, so the pressure is not there after you're familiar with the game, and there's a lot of tricks you can do. Like you dive at the right time at the conveyor belt, if you dive at the correct time in the first conveyor belt, you don't actually fall over, so you can go over the spinning stuff easily. Like I think it's right here, this conveyor belt. If you dive at the right time, you don't fall over. If you just run over this, you're gonna fall over after you go through this conveyor belt. But if you dive at the right time, you don't fall over. And then when the super quick spinning Whirlygig at the center after this conveyor belt here, that one again, if you dive at the right time and if you're on the far left or far right of the platform, because you're diving, you're on the ground, you're not tall enough to get hit by the spinning Whirlygig, so you actually go through safely. There's a lot of tips and tricks you can do in this map, and for example, for the final part where you need to go through the super fast spinning stuff, you can actually jump from the left or right side platform onto the checkpoint, onto the final checkpoint. Even if you go through this super quick spinning thing and then get slammed to the right side of the platform, you can jump back over to the middle platform. And then you can intentionally get hit by the spinning poles, and then it's gonna swung you all the way on close to the finishing line. So there's a lot of tips and tricks you can do in the Whirlygig, but again, it suffers from the fact that it being an early map, so ranking doesn't actually matter. What I think they can do to push the C tier maps into B tier, for me at least, is to make the starting position affected by early maps ranking. If you get better position in early maps, you get better starting position in the later games. So at least it gives you some, even though it doesn't matter that much, but it at least gives you some kind of incentive to play better. Even though like a lot of people think Fall Mountain is heavily affected by starting position, and even though I don't think it matters that much, but if starting position get affected by early maps, then more people is gonna just play better in the early stages instead of trolling people at the finishing line, because ranking for early maps literally doesn't matter. And again, if you're familiar with the game, these maps just, you need to try to lose. If you're playing seriously, you never lose to these maps. That's why I think that these C tier maps in the center is gonna be C tier, because they don't matter, even though they can be exciting. Final thought, I would like Slime Climb to be rolled anytime. I think Slime Climb should be able to be rolled at any time. It can be the final. Whoever get there first wins. I think Slime Climbs can actually be that kind of map. You can roll it at the first round, you can roll it at the final round. I think that is gonna push Slime Climb far beyond, even further beyond. So yeah, that's basically it. That's my tier list of the current maps in Fall Guys. It's just only based on my own opinion, so you can disagree, but this is just my opinion. So yeah, that's it for this video. So thank you for joining, and I'm gonna see you next time. Have a nice day and goodbye.